I woke up at 9 on Thanksgiving morning to something wrong. Silence. The Kessler family house, our 5-bedroom monument to middle-class aspiration, is never silent on Thanksgiving. Mom should be downstairs already, the kitchen filled with the rich aroma of roasting turkey. Dad should be planted in front of the TV volume, cranked too high on the Macy's parade. Corbin and Spencer should be bickering over who gets the good bathroom first. But there's nothing. Just the faint hum of the heating system clicking on. I sit up, run a hand through my tangled hair, and listen harder. No cabinets opening and closing, no water running, no footsteps on the stairs. Hello? My voice sounds strange in the stillness. When no one answers, a flicker of unease ripples through me. I grab my phone from the nightstand. No messages, no missed calls, nothing to explain the wrongness of this morning. I swing my legs over the side of the bed, suddenly wide awake. The hardwood floor feels cold against my bare feet as I pad to the hallway. Mom. Dad. I call out louder this time. The doors to my siblings' rooms stand open, beds empty and hastily made, not slept in at all by the look of them. Downstairs, the kitchen is spotless. No turkey thawing on the counter, no ingredients lined up for stuffing or cranberry sauce. Just my coffee mug from last night sitting alone in the otherwise empty sink. I walk to the front window and pull back the curtain. The driveway is empty. All the cars are gone. My parents' sedan. Corbin's beat-up Jeep. Even the 7-seater SUV I filled with gas yesterday for our planned drive to Uncle Dean's house. A ridiculous thought flashes through my mind. Maybe they ran out for cranberries or another last-minute ingredient. But the house doesn't feel like they just stepped out. It feels cold, abandoned. I grab my phone again, pull up my mother's contact. It's gone. My father's number gone, too. I scroll frantically through my contacts. Corbin, Spencer, even Rhett. All deleted. What the hell? I mutter, my heartbeat quickening. Then I remember last night. Rhett borrowing my phone. Hey sis, can I check the score real quick? My phone's dead. 19 years old, and still can't remember to charge his phone. I'd handed it over without a second thought. Clever, but not clever enough. Rhett isn't the sharpest tool in the shed. He deleted the entries, but didn't block the numbers. I still have our call history, and I know most of their numbers by heart anyway, but Uncle Dean's I know for sure. I tap it in and hit call, pacing the kitchen as it rings. Hello. His voice sounds relaxed, cheerful. Uncle Dean, it's Krista. Where is everyone? A pause. Krista. Oh, you're still home. Something in his voice makes my stomach drop. And then I hear it in the background, the rhythmic sound of waves crashing against a shore. Somewhere distant, the faint, unmistakable plucking of a ukulele. Where are you? I ask, though I already know the answer isn't his New England colonial, with the massive dining room table we were supposed to gather around today. Ah, his voice drops. Well, your parents wanted a big surprise for their 30th anniversary. They all flew to Maui last night. I grip the counter, my knuckles turning white. All of them. They figured you were busy with work, he continues, sounding uncomfortable now. And well, they didn't want you to worry about the expense. The expense. The expense for the vacation they're taking with money. I've been pouring into this house for years. Before I can respond, I hear a voice in the background. Spencer. God, are you talking to her? I thought the plan was to just let her stay home. She's too pathetic to vacation with anyway. Uncle Dean makes a shushing sound, but it's too late. I've heard enough. Krista. He starts. I end the call. The kitchen feels colder now as I stand motionless, my phone clutched in my hand. This wasn't some last-minute prank. This was planned, orchestrated. They deleted my contacts. They snuck out in the night. They left me behind deliberately. My gaze drifts to the calendar on the fridge where I'd circled today's date and written Thanksgiving at Uncle Dean's in my neat handwriting. Next to it, the list of chores I'd completed to get ready. Clean guest bathroom, gas up SUV, pick up wine. This wasn't a prank. This was deliberate, malicious financial exclusion. They wanted a luxury vacation using the money I paid for the mortgage, and they didn't want me there. I wait for tears, for the crushing weight of betrayal to bring me to my knees. But it doesn't come. Instead, something strange happens. A crystalline clarity washes over me. Every moment of the last 6 years, every check I've written, every bill I've paid, every sacrifice I've made while my siblings took and took, snaps into sudden perfect focus. I don't cry. I don't scream. I don't throw things. I just stand in the silent kitchen of a house that isn't really mine, feeling something final click into place inside me. I am done. The phone clicks dead in my hand. Uncle Dean's voice and Spencer's careless complaint fade into silence, but their echoes remain ricocheting through my mind like stray bullets. I sink into a chair at the empty kitchen table. My coffee mug from last night still sitting in the sink, the only evidence anyone lives here at all. The house feels cavernous now, each empty room mocking me with its silence. 6 years. The number materializes in my mind with perfect clarity. 6 years of being the invisible pillar. 6 years of watching my paycheck disappear into this 5-bedroom monument to middle-class pretension, all while being told I was the responsible one. I was 20 when I moved back home after community college. Dad had just been demoted. The mortgage payments were temporarily difficult. Mom had explained eyes wide with practice worry, just until they got back on their feet. 6 years later, and Dad's job still barely covers the car insurance and his hobbies, his fishing trips, his golf clubs, his collection of vintage model cars that sit untouched in glass cases in the basement. The total mortgage, $2,800 a month. My contribution, $2,000. Their contribution, $800. The math burns in my mind, bright and undeniable. I pull out my phone, open the calculator app, and punch in the numbers with methodical precision. $2,000 times 72 months equals $144,000. $144,000. Gone. Not invested, not saved, not even appreciated. Meanwhile, Corbin, 28 years old, and supposedly the entrepreneur of the family. He's lived here rent-free since his $50,000 startup crashed and burned 2 years ago. $50,000 that Mom and Dad had somehow found for him, even as I was writing checks for new gutters and property taxes. It was Corbin who first planted the seed for this betrayal. I remember overhearing him 3 weeks ago talking to Mom in the kitchen. Look, the Maui thing is a once-in-a-lifetime deal, but we can't afford it if Krista comes. She's just a financial drain anyway. All she does is pay bills. That's literally her only value to this family. Let's just leave her behind. She won't even notice we're gone. She's too busy being the family ATM to have a life. Mom had hesitated, but Corbin pushed harder. Come on, Mom. When has Krista ever been fun? She's boring. She's pathetic. She'll just ruin the vibe complaining about money. This is your anniversary. You deserve to celebrate without her dragging everyone down. I'd frozen in the hallway, heart pounding. But I didn't confront them. I just smiled to myself, and I started planning. Spencer, 22, attending Riverdale Private College. His $38,000 annual tuition and fraternity dues paid without question. Your brother needs to focus on his studies, Mom had explained when I'd asked why Spencer couldn't work part-time like I had. The responsible one, family code for the ATM. And Rhett, 19, the youngest. The one who deleted my contacts on Corbin's orders, the one who looked me in the eye last night and said his phone was dead. The numbness from the phone call begins to fade, replaced by something colder, quieter, not anger. Anger would be too hot, too messy. This is something else, something final. I'm done. The word settles in my chest like a stone. Done. They left me. But they left me in the house I paid for, connected to the utilities I managed. They assumed I would just wait and keep paying. For what? The privilege of being excluded, the honor of funding Maui vacations I wasn't invited to. I don't throw things. I don't scream. Those reactions would give them too much power, confirm their whispered assessments that I'm too emotional or can't take a joke. Instead, I walk to my home office, the smallest bedroom, the one with the water stain on the ceiling that no one else wanted. I pull open the bottom drawer of my filing cabinet and extract a 3-inch binder, its weight substantial in my hands. 6 years of receipts, 6 years of bank statements, 6 years of warranties for appliances and electronics I purchased when the old ones broke down. 6 years of evidence. I carry the binder to the kitchen table and open my laptop, but I don't book a flight to Maui. I don't compose an angry email. I don't even check social media to see if they've posted sunny photos from the beach yet. I Google local moving companies' immediate availability. Several options appear, but most are closed for the holiday weekend. One company, however, advertises a premium holiday emergency move service. Their rates are double the normal price. I dial the number. Reliable movers. This is Troy. Hi, Troy. I need to move out of my current residence tomorrow morning. Is that possible? Troy sounds surprised, but professional. Yes, ma'am. But I should warn you, our holiday rates are fine. I cut in. I'll need a truck large enough for several major appliances and furniture pieces. We can handle that. 8 a.m. Work for you. Perfect. I hang up and look around the kitchen. The high-end front-loading washer and dryer I bought last year after Spencer complained the old ones were gross. The 4-door smart fridge I purchased when the original one died during a heat wave. The $900 espresso machine Corbin and Spencer use every morning without ever buying a single bag of coffee. All in my name, all paid for with my money. They wanted to talk about expenses. Let's talk about expenses. I open my laptop again and search for studio apartments within a 30-minute drive of my office. Something becomes available next week, but I find a complex offering, immediate move-in, for an additional fee. I make the call, put down the deposit, and schedule the walkthrough. The next morning, I document everything before the movers arrive. Photos of every room, close-ups of the appliances, their serial numbers matching my receipts, shots of the dents in the door frames, evidence just in case. In the kitchen, I open cabinets that now hold only the mismatched mugs and cheap plates my parents had before I started upgrading our home. The pantry contains just the basics: my father's sugary cereals, my mother's diet crackers, the cheap coffee no one actually drinks. Upstairs, I enter what was my bedroom. The bed remains, but the premium mattress I bought last year is gone, leaving just the cheap box spring that came with the house. My dresser is gone. My bookshelf is gone. I sit cross-legged on the floor, open my laptop, and begin making calls. First to the power company. Yes, I need to cancel service at 1342 Oakwood Lane. The account is under Krista Kessler. May I ask why you're canceling, Miss Kessler? The representative asks. I'm moving. Simple. Truthful. I see. There will be a final reading tomorrow, and service will be disconnected by 5 p.m. Is there a forwarding address for the final bill? I provide my new address, then make the same call to the water company, and another to cancel the internet service that powered our whole smart home system. Each call takes less than 10 minutes. Each representative is professionally indifferent to my decision. By 6 p.m., I've made all the calls. Every utility will be shut off within 48 hours. Before my family returns from their Hawaiian paradise, night falls. The house is dark except for the single lamp I've left plugged in my room. I shower in the now empty bathroom, dry myself with the one towel I've kept out of my luggage, and sleep on a blanket on the floor of my old bedroom. In the morning, I load my remaining bags into my car. I've left nothing behind that's truly mine. In the kitchen, I place my house keys on the counter. Beside them, I stack the new unpaid utility bills I collected from the mailbox yesterday, all addressed to Mark and Brenda Kessler. All services they've enjoyed without thought because I handled them. I take one last look around the empty house. 6 years of my life, $2,000 a month, $104,000. I lock the door from the inside, step out, and pull it shut behind me with a satisfying click. In my car, I check the time. 6 days until they return from Maui. 6 days until they discover what responsibility actually costs. I just smiled. Tick-tock, I whisper as I drive away, heading toward my new, much smaller, infinitely more peaceful home. 6 days later, the family is back. I'm sitting in my new studio apartment when my phone buzzes with a notification from the Ring doorbell app I never deleted. A final loose end I deliberately left untied. The app shows the Kesslers have returned, dragging oversized suitcases up the front walk. Their faces are tanned, their shoulders slumped with travel fatigue. Brenda clutches a pineapple-shaped souvenir. Mark fumbles with his keys. Spencer and Corbin trail behind, still wearing their matching Aloha shirts. Rhett brings up the rear, his neck ringed with a plastic lei. I take a sip of my coffee, turn the volume up on my phone, and watch. Honey Brenda calls as Mark finally gets the door open. Don't forget the light switch is finicky. They disappear inside. I count down in my head. 3, 2, 1. Mark Brenda's voice filters through the Ring's microphone. The lights aren't working. Hang on. Mark replies, his voice growing fainter as he moves away from the door. Let me check the breaker. A minute passes. The door remains open, spilling their conversation onto the porch where the Ring camera captures every word. Nothing's working. Mark calls back. The power's out. Did you forget to pay the bill? Brenda asks, irritation edging into her voice. Me. You handle the utilities. I just smiled as I imagined them standing in the dark hallway, jet-lagged and confused. Corbin pushes past them, phone flashlight activated. His beam sweeps across the living room, then stops. Dad. His voice rises an octave. Where's the TV? The flashlight beam jerks around wildly now, illuminating empty spaces where furniture used to be. What the hell? Mark's heavy footsteps pound across the floor. Spencer screams from the kitchen. The fridge is gone. Everything's gone. I watch as they spill back onto the front porch, faces pale in the dying November sunlight. Brenda's hands shake as she clutches at Mark's sleeve. Someone broke in, she gasps. Call 911. Mark fumbles his phone from his pocket, fingers trembling as he dials. I watch his face contort as he explains the situation to the dispatcher, describing a robbery in progress. Corbin paces the porch, his own phone gripped tightly in his hand. His brow furrows as something occurs to him. The Ring camera, he says suddenly. We can check the footage. Of course Corbin would think of that. The tech guy of the family who couldn't even launch a successful startup with $50,000 of funding. I take another sip of my coffee as I watch him tap at his phone, accessing the same app I'm currently using. I know the exact moment he finds the footage from 3 days ago. His face drains of color, mouth dropping open. She took everything, he stammers. The others crowd around his phone. I can picture the video playing on his screen, me clipboard in hand, directing the movers as they carefully load the 80-inch TV, the smart fridge, the washer and dryer, the espresso machine. All documented, all organized, all mine. Krista did this. Brenda's voice breaks on my name, but why would she? I told you this would happen. Corbin explodes. I told you she was getting suspicious. We should have taken her phone completely, not just deleted the contacts. This is your fault, Mom. You should have controlled her better. Spencer chimes in, his voice dripping with contempt. She's always been jealous of us. Pathetic loser couldn't stand that we were having fun without her. This is what happens when you let the help think they're family. Rhett stays silent, but I see him backing away from his brothers. Mark takes the phone from Corbin, watching the footage with narrowing eyes. When he looks up, his face is rigid with fury. She can't do this, he growls. This is our house. I set my phone down on the coffee table of my new apartment and walk to the window. Outside, the November sunset paints the sky in shades of orange and purple. My studio is small, but the light here is beautiful, clean, mine. My phone starts buzzing again. Not the Ring app this time, but actual calls, one after another. The same numbers over and over, no contact names attached. I pick it up and look at the screen. 52 missed calls in the span of 10 minutes. Then the texts start flowing in. From Corbin's number. You think you're smart. You're nothing without this family. You're just a pathetic accountant who nobody loves. That's why you don't have friends. That's why you don't have a boyfriend. That's why we left you behind. You're worthless. From Spencer's number. You ruined everything, you selfish bitch. We gave you a home, and this is how you repay us. You're dead to me. From my mother's number, Krista, call me. Where are you? The house was robbed. I set the phone face down on the table and make myself a fresh cup of coffee. The buzzing continues, persistent as a trapped wasp, as I move around my small kitchen. I take my time measuring the grounds with precision, waiting for the water to reach the perfect temperature. I just smiled. When I return to the window with my steaming cup, a police car is pulling up in front of my building. Behind it, my father's sedan screeches to a halt, double parking in his haste. They pile out. Mark, Brenda, Corbin, Spencer, Rhett. A gesticulating mass of righteous indignation as they follow the two officers into my building. My intercom buzzes 3 minutes later. Miss Kessler. The front desk attendant's voice is professionally neutral. There are police officers here asking to speak with you. They say your family is with them. I take a long, slow breath, savoring the moment. 6 years of paying for a house that was never mine. 6 years of being the invisible pillar, the responsible one, the family ATM. 6 years of swallowing my resentment as they took and took and took. The moment has arrived. The trap I set has sprung perfectly. "Ma'am, the police are here," the attendant prompts when I don't immediately respond. "With your family." I set my coffee cup down and cross to my desk. My hand comes to rest on the 3-inch binder, filled with receipts, warranties, and bank statements. 6 years of meticulous documentation, 6 years of evidence. "Tell the policeman only they can come in," I reply. I pick up the binder, feeling its reassuring weight in my hands. I don't rush. This moment belongs to me. The knock comes at exactly 4:17 p.m., 2 sharp raps, official and unyielding. I've been expecting this since the building manager called. "Ma'am, your family downstairs is claiming you've stolen their television and appliances." The officer's voice is neutral, professional. He's young, maybe 30, with close-cropped hair and a name tag reading Officer Brennan. His partner, older, with salt and pepper hair, stands slightly behind, watching my face for a reaction. I don't give him one. "Please come in," I say, stepping back from my apartment door. I have coffee. The studio is small but immaculate. My 80-inch TV dominates one wall. The espresso machine gleams on the counter. Everything I took, everything that was mine, fits perfectly in this space. I've been waiting for this moment for 9 days. "Black or cream?" I ask, pouring from the carafe. "Black. Thank you." Officer Brennan says, his eyes scanning the apartment. I hand him the mug, then reach for my 3-inch binder sitting ready on the counter. The weight of it is reassuring in my hands. 6 years of meticulous documentation, 6 years of receipts, bank statements, and warranties, all organized by date, item, and payment method. This should clarify things, I say, handing him the binder. The lead officer takes it, balancing his coffee in one hand. He flips it open, his expression unchanging as he turns the plastic-protected pages. He pauses at the invoice for the TV. "This is the television they're referring to, the 80-inch 4K. "Yes," I reply. "Purchased with my year-end bonus. $2,500 plus tax." He nods, flipping more pages. His finger traces down a highlighted bank statement, then stops at a warranty registration. "All in your name." "Yes, sir." He exchanges a glance with his partner. The older officer's eyebrows rise slightly. "Miss Kessler," Officer Brennan says, slowly closing the binder. "Everything in here appears to document your ownership of these items." I know. The family downstairs is claiming theft. They're wrong. He sighs, rubbing the bridge of his nose. "Ma'am, I'm going to be honest with you. Based on what I'm seeing here, there's no crime. You removed your own property from a residence you were living in. That's your legal right. I know I repeat." He hands me back the binder. "I'd recommend keeping this documentation somewhere safe, in case they try to pursue this civilly. I have 3 copies," I tell him. "One here, one in a safety deposit box, one with my attorney." His partner lets out a low whistle. Smart. The officers leave after finishing their coffee. I watch through my window as they emerge from the building and approach my family, who are clustered on the sidewalk like angry pigeons. I can't hear the conversation, but I can read the body language. Officer Brennan's hands spread in a "nothing we can do" gesture. My father's face reddening. Corbin jabbing his finger toward my building. Spencer pacing in tight circles. My mother clutching her purse like a shield. Rhett standing apart, staring at the ground. Then Corbin looks up, directly at my window. I know he can't see me from this distance. The angle of the sunset turns my windows into mirrors, but I raise my coffee cup anyway, a silent toast. I just smiled. The voicemails started that night. By morning, I had 67 messages, 23 from Corbin, 18 from Spencer, 14 from Mom, 12 from Dad. I listened to each one without expression. Corbin, 11:47 p.m. "You think you're so clever, you're nothing. You've always been nothing, just a pathetic loser we let live with us out of pity. You'll come crawling back. You always do." Spencer, 12:15 a.m. "You ruined Thanksgiving. You ruined Mom and Dad's anniversary. You ruined everything. I hope you're happy being alone forever, you selfish bitch. Mom, 1:23 a.m. Krista, please. We can talk about this. Just come home. We need you. The house needs you. Just do it for the family. Dad 2:45 a.m. You've made your point. Now stop this nonsense and come fix what you broke. This is ridiculous. Corbin 3:17 a.m. I know where you work. I know where you live now. This isn't over. You don't get to just leave. You owe us. Spencer 4:02 a.m. When this blows over, you're going to regret this. We gave you everything, a roof over your head, a family, and this is how you repay us. You're garbage, Krista. Absolute garbage. Mom 5:30 a.m. The power is still off. The water is off. It's cold. How could you do this to your own family? Just do it for the family, Krista. Just come home. I deleted them all. Then I blocked every number. 2 weeks later, I received a summons. My father had filed in small claims court, claiming I'd stolen family property, valued at $15,000. The hearing was scheduled for mid-December. I arrived early, my binder tucked under my arm. The courtroom was small and institutional fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. My family was already there. Corbin sat ramrod straight, his jaw tight. Spencer slouched beside him, scrolling through his phone. My parents sat in the front row, my mother dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. Rhett was notably absent. The judge called the case. My father stood, cleared his throat, and began his practiced speech about the difficulties they'd faced without proper appliances, about the emotional toll, about my theft of family items. When he finished, the judge turned to me. And your response, Miss Kessler? I don't speak. Instead, I place my 3-inch binder on his desk. The sound it makes is final, definitive. He opens it, frowning slightly at first, then with increasing interest as he turns the pages. 5 minutes pass in silence as he reviews bank statements, receipts, and utility bills in my name. Mr. Kessler, he says, finally closing the binder, these items appear to be legally purchased and owned by your daughter. Furthermore, I see evidence here that she contributed $2,000 monthly toward your mortgage for 6 years while living in your home. Is that correct? My father shifts uncomfortably. Well, yes, but... And you're claiming she stole property that she herself purchased. It was for the family, my mother interjects. She can't just take it? The judge's expression hardens. Mrs. Kessler. I suggest you not speak out of turn. He turns back to my father. This case is dismissed. And Mr. Kessler, I would caution you about bringing frivolous claims to this court. There are penalties for perjury. The gavel comes down with a crack that echoes through the small courtroom. I gather my binder and walk toward the exit. As I pass Corbin, he grabs my arm. You think you've won? He hisses low enough that only I can hear. You're still nothing. You'll always be nothing. A pathetic, lonely loser who had to buy her way out of being forgotten. Enjoy your empty apartment, Krista. It's all you'll ever have. I look at him, really look at him. 28 years old, failed entrepreneur, still living with his parents, still blaming everyone else for his failures, still convinced the world owes him something. I pull my arm free, I just smiled, and walked out into the cold December air without looking back. 4 months later, I'm sitting on the small balcony of my studio apartment. The air is cold against my skin, but I don't mind. I wrap my fingers around a steaming mug of coffee, the expensive kind Corbin used to drain from my machine without ever buying a replacement bag. My apartment isn't much, 400 square feet that would fit inside the Kessler family living room with space to spare. But every inch of it is mine. Every utility bill has only my name on it. The silence here isn't the hollow absence of people who should be present. It's peace, earned and protected. Uncle Dean called last week. He waited until he knew I'd be home from work, his voice careful when I answered. The house is gone, he said without preamble, foreclosed after 3 months. They couldn't make the payments. I took a sip of tea, letting the information settle. Where are they living now? 2-bedroom rental across town. Mark and Brenda took the master. Rhett's on the couch. Spencer and Corbin are sharing the 2nd bedroom. He paused. Spencer had to leave Riverdale. He's at community college now. Riverdale Private College. $38,000 a year in tuition alone. Fraternity dues on top of that. All while I quietly transferred $2,000 to my parents' account every month for 6 years. Krista. They're really struggling. Uncle Dean said, his voice dropping into that guilt-inducing register families perfect over generations. Did they ask you to call me? Not exactly. But then they're not struggling enough, I replied, surprised by my own steadiness. They'll figure it out. They're adults. The consequences arrived like dominoes falling. The 2-bedroom apartment, Spencer's transfer, my father having to find an actual full-time job for the first time in 15 years, my mother selling her jewelry on Facebook Marketplace, Corbin's Jeep repossessed, reality, crashing down on people who thought they could fly forever on someone else's wings. I take another sip of coffee, watching the sun climb higher. My phone buzzes with a notification. LinkedIn. I tap the screen. Corbin Kessler has sent you a message. I open it with mild curiosity. Hey, sis, hope you're doing well. Listen, I've got an interview at Meridian Tech next week. Any chance you could be a reference? You know how reliable I am when I put my mind to something. Also, Mom wanted me to ask if you could help with the rent this month, just until things stabilize. Just do it for the family. I stare at the message, my finger hovering over the screen. 28 years old, still convinced the world owes him a cushioned landing, still using the same phrase, just do it for the family. The phrase that had justified 6 years of exploitation, the phrase that had funded a Maui vacation I wasn't invited to, the phrase that had kept me trapped in a house that was never really mine. I click ignore, then block his profile for good measure. 4 months ago, I woke up in a cold, silent house abandoned by the people who should have been there. I remember standing in that kitchen the moment everything crystallized, the soft click of realization like a lock turning. Now I sit in my own space, smaller but infinitely more honest. My bills are reasonable because I only pay for what I need. My shelves hold books I actually read. My refrigerator contains food only I eat. People ask if I ever feel guilty. Former coworkers who heard through the grapevine. The few friends who know the whole story. They want to know if I wonder whether I went too far, if I think about my family struggling in their cramped apartment while I sit here with my expensive coffee maker and my quiet mornings. I take a final sip, letting the rich flavor linger on my tongue. No, I don't. For the first time in my life, the silence is actually mine. If this story stayed with you, stay close. More are coming.